Okay, so we're going to be designing the 5/8" spanner. Now, to make this a little more interesting, we're going to actually design this part as is, which we don't have, and it is a little complicated, so it's going to be well worth teaching. Basically, I'm going to leave this up next to it. I'm going to just draw it right next to it. I'm not going to worry. Actually, can't do that because I need the actual center point. That's going to clog up the whole area. So I'll keep this open, and I'm going to just create a new part. And I could switch from one to the other page by doing Control-Tab. Now I do have a lot of these sketches open. I'm going to close out whatever I don't need, like the previous job, making sure that I, of course, saved my projects and that my, there we go. There's and spanner, I need that one, and I don't need that one. So I'm going to close those out. Again, all you need to do to switch between drawings is Control-Tab. You hit Control first, then Tab. And you can keep hitting Tab until you can see I'm switching between two drawings. My part, which has no sketch whatsoever, and the actual spanner sketch. So basically, we're going to start out with sketch. And we're going to go from top view. We're going to create a center line. So make sure you hover over next to the origin where you can see a dashed line. That way you know that you're somewhat exactly on the origin. You can see it's kind of, the line itself is defined, but the points are, because we don't know what distance this line is. That's why the points are blue. Everything else is black. Once we have that, I create a second line, a center line, from the origin, going about, I'm looking for that 10-degree angle, so I'm estimating this to be 10 degrees. Now let's see how close I am. 17. I'm not good with degrees then. So we do 10 degrees, we change that out, and of course that defines the line itself. It's black, but the points at the end are still blue because there is no distance provided, which we don't want to provide because it's just going to clog up our drawing without necessary information. Usually center lines do not require exact dimensions. From there, we're going to create, there's two options. We can create a circle. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll create a circle. So we need a point on this line for our circle. Make sure you don't snap in the midpoint because then you create a relationship that you need to delete later on. So just click it somewhere near that, as long as it snaps on to this 10-degree construction line. Create a circle. The radius for the circle, if I can show you on the drawing, because we got this line here, we got the center line. You can see the previous drawing actually create a center line going one direction. You can do that too. It should not affect your drawing. We're looking for this point because we're creating this circle here, this arc. So we have our distance is 0.204. Now you can see it's shaded. It's actually being driven. It's just for reference. So technically, if you drew it differently with all these numbers, that arc does not need a dimension. But that's why we need it to draw it, make it easier for ourselves. So this is 204. So we can dimension this out from the point to the origin. Make sure it's at an arc, like an angled distance, not a horizontal, because that's going to be a different distance. So you can just move it over, you'll see it angled. And there we're going to put in the 0.204. Excuse me. So we have that snapped on, but we don't have the radius of the circle, so of course we need to dimension that out. 0.8. Is that what I was looking for? Let's see what my radius is. 0.3. Okay, actually I'm working in. Okay, yeah, I'm working in inches. Okay, that's good. Just making sure. So our radius for that arc is 3.373. I believe that's my diameter, so I need to double that. I do a star 2, and that multiplies it by 2. I got that number from right here, 0.373. So that gives us, and it's fully defined, so that shows us that we're exactly where we need to be with this arc. We can add in the horizontal angled lines, like so. You don't have to specify its angle just yet. And another option would be to do one side only and then do the other side instead of doing both sides at the same time. But make it easy, I'm going to do it at the same time. So I have these two new lines. The length I don't have specified. They are connected to my circle. I'm going to make them parallel to this 10 degree since it's defined. So they're all parallel. This one is, for some reason, this one's defined, this one's not. I'm not sure why this one's not defined. Oh, it's not attached. Here's a tangent 2. This one's not a tangent 2. That's all right. We do need to specify the distance of this. Also, it is angled, so keep that in mind. Don't go horizontally. Make sure it's angled. And our distance is going to be 0.618. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on. And that would be equal with both sides. Yeah, it's only 2. I can modify it to show you guys that there's 3. Let's see if I can do that right here. I'm going to change the length to 3 so you guys can see up to 3 decimal points since we are working so detailed. So now you have 3 decimal points. Okay, so once we have this piece completed, what we can do is we can start doing the trimming. So we go to our trim command up here, trim entities, and we just trim by just drawing a line that cuts through the part. You can select the arc, the location, and the 2 lines here. That doesn't look too well. And as you can see on the drawings, the point here, there's a center line here, so we can actually add that center line. These points are connected. They're perpendicular to each other. I think. Yeah. So these are not connected. That's why I had a problem here. That's why it was tangent here. It wasn't tangent here. So let me fix that now. This is blue. Make sure both of these lines are merged, so you don't have a problem like that with me when there's double lines. I need to figure out. Yeah, see that. It's supposed to be a center line following this dimension, and it is perpendicular to this center line, this 10 degree center line. So make sure you have that. Again, I drew a center line from the origin downwards, made it perpendicular to this 10 degree angle. Then I can select this point, end of this line, and this center line, and make it coincident. I also have to do the same thing with the top. The only problem is there is a tangent to it, so I will not be able to do it. Yeah, so I have to delete that tangent. I select the tangent and I click the delete button, or you can select tangent, right click, and go to delete. 2 steps. Delete on your keyboard or delete with your mouse. Then I can finally do the same thing as I did before. Select the center line here and make it coincident, giving me the exact shape I'm looking for. Again, the center lines do not need to have their points fully defined because they can be really long. It should not affect your drawing. Okay, once we have that, what we can do next is the 1 inch radius circle, which we have the center point from, which is 0.4 from the origin. So we do the same thing like we did before, except instead of 2.04, we're going 0.4, and our radius is 1, or as a diameter it would be 2. So we go to a circle, we follow that 10 degree center line, we draw a circle, and that is going to be 2, like so. From there we have Now we can add, there's two arcs. There's one arc coming this way, and there's another one that's connecting the arc to the main circle we just created. See, there's one arc here. It's highlighted. There's a second arc here. So we can create an arc this way, in which we have the radius. We don't have the center of, so keep that in mind, but we do have the beginning and end points. So we can do that, as long as we make them equal. So I'll show you how we do that now. We go with a 3-point arc. Right, I'm looking at something like that. Same with this. And I'm going to make these equal to start out with. I'm going to dimension one of them. The radius will be 1, so it's a 2. Something like that. It's really big, but that's alright. You can even stretch it back down. Oops, I'm still in dimensioning, if that bothers you. Now they're both the same radius, but they're not the same length. That's also okay. We have our distance. No, we don't. We don't have our distance here from here to here, so we got to add that dimension. Oops. So smart dimension. Oh, we do have, because we have the radius here. I'm not sure when I put that in. So if you have that radius, you can remove it. If you want to keep it, that's fine. The other option would be to create this dimension here, which is 0.625. So you can see it was off, so now I have to readjust it to make it exactly the correct size, as our drawing shows. We have our radius, which is diameter 2, which I can convert if you guys prefer having diameter. Just change it in your liters, go to diameter, and shows you diameter, which I made it too big now. Do that mistake sometimes, especially if I'm going too fast. So that should be 2. My apologies, that's a 2 in diameter, just like our main circle. I don't know where I got 4 from. But okay, so we have these points. They're fully defined. Our second option is to fully define the endpoints, because if you look at the drawing, we do have that 131.375 that gives us the endpoints of this arc and the beginning of the second arc. So we can do that too. We can add the dimension from that point to that point. Make sure you're in angle, not horizontal, vertical, just angled. And we're going to type in at 1.375. Now that should be, we can't do the, looking at this, we got to make sure that they are both, give me 1 second. So the best way to resolve this 1.3 to make them both the same exact matching from both sides would be to do an arc length, which is basically you select both endpoints and the center, giving you the arc length. And then, I thought I have it equal. This and this should be equal. That is equal. Alright, so I'm going to do it a little bit different from the drawing. I'm going to actually create a center line from both these two arcs, the endpoints, giving me the distance. And I'm going to make it collinear with this angled center line here. So make it parallel. And that gives me the arc. But the only other issue is I need to make sure the center midpoint matches with this 10-degree center angle, and that will give me exactly the 2 arc sizes I need. So there might be a better way of doing this. I don't know, this is my first time running through this pretty fast, so that is my option for doing this. Now we have this arc. Now we also need one more arc to connect this arc to the main circle. So we can do that, just snap it on. And make sure you don't snap onto any additional things because we don't know what the exact shape is just yet. We do make them equal. And we do have a dimension for them, which is going to be 5. So I think that's, oops, that should not be that 5. Let's go back to that just a little bit. I'm going to leave that for now as is. So otherwise I'm going to be in trouble again, like we just saw. So we get the arc, we got that. We have the side. Do we have this dimensioned? Yes, we do. I'm going to do a little dimensioning like that. I prefer using that side dimensioning for the circles, that way I know what it relates to, not the overall length. There's something I'm missing here. Which radius?
You try to divide the distance by just 0.5.
Yeah. Oh, is it 0.5? Oh, that's why I missed it. I don't know why I put, that's why I got it wrong. So it's 0.5. Alright, so I'm going to trim this all out just to clean it up. Oops. There we go. I have something like this. Now I have the distance for this. I do have, oh, there's more trimming I must have missed. Ah, still got the trim activated. Oh, I see. The arc wasn't. Well, it is connected. That's okay. That's equal to that. That's equal to the length. This should be shorter. Tangent. That's what we're missing. Don't forget about tangent. That's what we need. So we need to make all these parts tangent. So make sure you have tangent on each. This one tangent, this one's tangent, tangent, and tangent. So there's 4 of them. But that still does not give me the full, it's not fully defined yet. So we need to verify what is going on with that. So it looks like
that center line is perpendicular to that 10-degree line.
to this line here.
The one next to the left of it.
That one to that.
No, it's not perpendicular to the 10-degree center line.
Are you sure? Because it looks like it. So what we might need to do is we select the dimension, and what we need to do is go to leaders, and we're gonna make this a arc condition. Why is there an arc condition for this?
Actually, I tried to find the according to that maximum condition.
Yeah.
I could find it either at home. This one.
Oh.
There's no tab. Just
Other. So what I need to do is actually not dimension it from these endpoints. What we need to dimension is from the actual 2 arcs. Now you're going to get something like this because it's going to grab to the center of the arcs. We're going to drag these endpoints to be coincident or perpendicular to these 2 arcs, the 5.5 radius arcs. And that's what needs to be set at 1.375. Including with that, we need to go to our leaders, and we gotta make sure that this is set at max here at the arc conditions max. That's actually part of the instructions for this. So make sure that's set at max. Yeah. But the next step would be to get these points, these end of the arcs, and we're going to make them symmetrical to this 10°. So I select these 2 points and the center, and I make it symmetrical. So that evens out, and we might have to do the same thing for these 2 endpoints here, just to play it safe. That's one more step they need to add. Well, you guys wanted to design this, so here, I'm going to record this. So the way to, if you can't figure out what the issue is, try moving the part. Sometimes that helps you discover what your, yeah.
Not me, I'm not paying attention.
All right, so
I'm doing
what we're missing is actually
management work here.
we're missing the dimension location, the center point of this 2 diameter inch circle or arc. So that's what we were missing. So from the origin to the center point up that arc, it is not 4.45, it's actually just 0.4. And now it's fully defined. Yay! Exactly. Actually, and we can actually move it forward because it looks like, oh no, this arc is, we don't need this center line anymore, and it actually matches up exactly to our design here that we received. Right? I think it looks the same. Maybe it looks a little bigger for some reason. 0.5. This is a 1 inch radius. Oh, I have diameter 1 inch. Let's change that to radius so it looks a little bit more professional. It looks the same as what they had there. This is 0.5. Yep. This is 1. Oh, yeah, I can change that. Liter, radius. 10°, yep, point at, 0.4, yep, 0.68, 0.204. Oh, there's one more, that's why I'm missing. Oh no, there it is, 6.8. Yep, all dimensions match. So that is the correct way of designing this part. So all we have to do now is we're going to go step by step by the book. So if you have the PDF open, that's great. If you don't, it is in the D2L. It's called the spanner wrench. And basically, we can go step by step. This gives you some basic information. There's a max arc condition, so if you do decide to make this on your own, make sure that is on tangent to the arc here, not to the endpoint. It may seem like it's going to the endpoint, but it's really not. It's going to actually the arc center, pretty much like the center of the arc, and that will create the max size of that piece. So keep that in mind. Here's some basic information how to get to that. So we'll move forward and we'll start doing that. The actual features menu. We go to extrude. We are going from blind. We're going to midplane. And there's another way of testing your drawing. If this is not going to, extruding won't work, then you know that your original 2D sketch has an error and you should resolve it. The end condition, which is midplane, so we change that to midplane, and our extrude depth is 0.25, which is our total depth. We accept that, and then we go to select top plane from features manager. So we'd start a sketch. It's going to ask us to select the top plane. We go perpendicular to. See, that's something that the book doesn't provide, is all the step-by-step process of actually drawing this, because it kind of gives you an idea of what you need to do next. It doesn't tell you, oh, make it normal to, and so forth. Then we add the drawings as specified. So if you scroll down here, you will see the add dimensions, and you'll see the dimensions we're adding. So we do a center line from the origin. The origin is the center point of the head. And we go across. You can there is no specified distance, so keep that in mind. That arc, that center line is just for reference. So we go to sketch, we go on the plane, we create a center line from the origin. We go exactly horizontally. We're only going to create one side, I believe, and just mirror it over. And that would be like the simplest way of doing it. If you don't want to do it that way, you can design both sides at the same time. It's up to you. So we're going to go up, across. There is a radius here, which I will do later on. I can do it now, but it'd be too confusing. So we're just going to go straight. There's a second radius here. Don't worry about that. And we'll finally connect it to, yeah, it looks like it's coincidence. Okay, we'll work the, okay, now we can do the radius. The first radius is 2, like so. Or if you like, instead of going with the radius, what we can do is go with the dimensioning first and then put the radius, which is our fillets, which actually makes, yeah, it's better to do the regular 2D lines, dimension those out first before the radius, because it's really hard to dimension where the radius is located. So keep that in mind. Do the lines first, then do the radius. I make that mistake sometimes. And if you do decide to do it only one side and mirror it over, keep in mind if you put a dimension here for the back, the full length is 0.95. So you would just divide that by 2. It would be the same. Your own preference. So you're saying you would just do an arc here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to go back and actually do that. Yeah, I'm doing so. We'll see. So next one will be the center, which should be horizontally. It's not. You can see by the degrees. So I need to go back to that line and make it horizontal, selecting it horizontal. And then we go with 0.525 divided by 2, so /2. That gives us a dimension there. And our location from these endpoint to the back is 0.75. And it doesn't specify the angle. Oh, it's a whole radius? No, it's a radius and a straight line from what it looks like. So we can put that radius in now just to look for it. Check it out. That's what it should look like. But it is still not fully defined. That is a issue. We'll go back to that later on. We'll see what we can do to fix that issue. Our next part will be a distance of 1 inch. Not from the origin. Keep in mind, this is from the actual point where it connects to the 3D object. 1, and then we can also place in the total distance, which is 6.25. And that fully defines my object. So that arc is only from here to here. You can barely see it on the drawing, but it does show you 2 points. So looking at these drawings or any future drawings, keep in mind each point represents either an end or a beginning of a line. So if you get stuck with something, like here you can see there's 1 and then a second line. So I may have made a mistake because I missed that line, so it looks like there's 2 arcs. This is the radius and the rest is just a straight line, which is fine because I did a full straight line from here to here. Adding that 4-inch radius will make that 2 parts. So now I can add that radius here. It's 4. And as you can see, this is a separate line right here, just like the drawing. That's what I meant by that. And since it's fully defined and I like how it looks, I can just do a select, making sure I select all I need, and I mirror it over. The entity mirror about as a copy this center line. The only issue that I have missed is because it's not completely enclosed, we need this line here to enclose it so we can do the extrude as our next step. So we need to convert entities. Actually there's a couple arcs, there's 3 arcs, and we accept it. Keep in mind it's overextended, so we do need to trim this out. And there's maybe, you can see it here, there's an issue here. I have to solve that before I move forward. So I'm going to trim this side. This other side is different because when I did the mirror, the bottom of this circular object here is different from the top of it. So you kind of have to fix that up. Clear that up. This one is a little tricky here. So we have to select this line here and the arc, and we make a tangent. So that resolves that. This one should be convert an entity, but something happened with this. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to create one more time. Convert entities. Accept that. I'm going to see that endpoint is not snapped onto that arc, so I'm going to, again, coincident, make that coincident, and it's already tangent, and I trim it out. So keep in mind, if you do the way I did it with the mirror, this area will need to be resolved. There are some issues. You saw that I had to fix it, so keep in mind that and resolve it before you do any features extrude, and you can check it's not fully defined, or let's see if it's, oh, it is fully defined. So it's fully defined. Now all I have to do is go to our next step, which would be to extrude this area. This area will be extruded from the midplane 0.175. Self-intersecting. This is not good. Let's try that again. 0.175 midplane. There are self-intersecting contours. So this will happen sometimes. You will find that something is overlapping itself. There's double lines somewhere, or something's wrong. So we need to resolve this. An option for that would be using extrude, selecting the object. Here, it's got a trick. Of course, let's see if I can do this in this one. The idea would be to select a, I guess it's not going to help me with this one. Some of these, okay. So we have to go back to our drawing and actually find the situation that's causing this problem. Where? Top? Oh, right. Nice. So, another thing that the actual instruction book doesn't tell you, that there's an area here where it's overlapping, as you can see. So we do have to trim this out. We're losing that dimension, the exterior dimension, so it's no longer fully defined. We need to make sure that this is tangent or coincident to the arc, the shape, and we could put in that dimension just to verify that and change that, because we actually need 6.25. And we're still missing something. I think we need to make, oh, still overlapping. This is not good. So I did not resolve the problem here. I need to make sure I do that. I make it tangent first, then I make it coincident, then I make the full out 6.25. That's connected, that's all, that's good. Got the dimension here. But I do have a situation. Now it's not fully defined. Baloney. to make sure that everything is consistent. So this should be tangent. Yep. This is tangent perpendicular. This is a curved entity. This is tangent. That's correct. These lines should be tangent. There you go. That was the problem. I missed a tangent at the bottom here. So make sure you have all the tangents correctly placed and it's fully defined before you move forward. Then I hope that this time we can, yep, now it works. Now we can go mid-plane and we go 0.175. Creating the arm. I'll pause for a minute for you guys to catch up. Alright, so next part would be to insert a sketch on this face in the back. So we go to sketch, we go to plane, we go normal to, and we're creating a center line horizontally to midpoint of the material, like so. It's fully defined. Got 3 points. I accept it. From there, we're going to create a plane. So we go into features, plane. We start with the top plane as our, I believe, our reference. Or no, it wants our face. Top face. And we select this center line that we created. In addition to that, we create a degree of 10 degrees. That's our new plane. Is it the right way? No, it's reversed. So I need to reverse this way. Why is it? Reference plane. Click flip. That's what I'm missing. Flip right here. Click that in, and you got from the bottom. And we accept that. Next step, after having a 10-degree plane, all we want to do is create a sketch on that plane. So we go to Start Sketch. We select that plane. We go to Normal to, and we create a circle. So we're creating a circle that is based on the origin, which is exactly the center or the midpoint of that line. And we create it to, actually we have a size to do. We have a diameter of 1 inch. Diameter of 1 inch, and that should be, so we might have to add in that actual origin to center or vertical, or it might be horizontal for you guys, depending on how you drew it, how this is set up right now. And we have a distance locator from the origin to the center of the circle, which is 6.5. Like so. We can close out of the sketch, or we can go directly into extrude, which I prefer doing. It's one less step. You do the extrude, we do blind one way of 0.2, and then the second direction, a blind of 0.13. Now try not to get these confused. We are going 0.13 down and 0.2 up. You accept. I like to turn off planes that I'm not using because they're just interfering with my view. So I'm going to turn that one off by selecting it and selecting hidden. Next step for this, oh man, there's a lot of steps for this one, is to insert a sketch on top of a polygon. So we start a sketch on top over here, we go normal to, we create a polygon based on the center, like so. There's a few specifications, select face, insert, select a polygon, 12 sides, enter, and the add 0.625 for diameter. So over here, down here, we go 0.625, enter. What else do we need to put? We need to make constant, concentric to the outer circle. So we select the dashed circle inside to the outside, and we go concentric. And horizontal. And we make this horizontal. concentric horizontal between the, and just to make sure we take this. We need, what else do we need here? I think we can. The diameter we have, yes, 0.625, like I said. So we keep that, and that's pretty much fully defined. From there we go extrude cut through all. I believe the drawing decided to do it on the plane when you're drawing this. I did it on the face. You can do it both ways. It works. So any way you do it. So I'm gonna cut it through all. Did that, and I move up to my next step, which is step 11. We actually select a sketch on the top surface, and we're gonna create a slot. So we go normal to, we create a slot here. So under the rectangle command, there's a straight slot, which we're going to be using. It's pretty much selecting a first point, second point, and how wide it is. So if you got the, and then we're going to dimension in the locations of all the points, which we have on the drawing. 1.25. Our second dimension would be 4. And its width is 0.325, like so. And we do a extrude cut 0.03, my bad. So there should be a slot, as you can see here. Looks great, and it wants us to do a mirror of this cut. So we select mirror command, we select the top plane, we select the cut as our feature mirror, and we accept. Creates the cut on both ends. Adding the 0.3 fillets. So now we can just add the fillets, which are on the exterior, I believe, not the interior. Where it's actually a little tricky to see on the drawings. And we got to select from both sides. So we go to fillet command, 0.03, and let's start from the front. So it wants us to select this, that, all the way around this arc area, all the way around the top, and of course if we do the top, we do the bottom. Now of course if you select the wrong ones or you missed a few, you can always add them or subtract them. But I think that is all. Should specify how many we need to do, but it doesn't. So that's one of those lessons that SolidWorks needs to come up with. We accept that. In addition to that, we're also putting a fillet with a radius of 0.05, and this time it's going to be on the inside here, both sides, and in the back, same thing. This edge here, I'll automatically select to both, so that's great. I accept it. Oh, there was actually more fillets. I kind of made a mistake of. Oh no, I did the right thing. Okay, so fillet, third fillet, 0.015, and we do the inside here. Yeah. And of course, if you do it at the top, you do it at the bottom. Remember, save your work before you move forward. And we go to our text option. So now we go with sketch. We start on this surface here inside the cut. We use the text tool. We type in 5/8 for our text, and we select it at one position, and we click accept. From there, we dimension out its location. You can see a point right there. That's what we're dimensioning to. So 1.3325, and it's also horizontally 0.075. If you can't get the horizontal, you can do a smart dimensioning. Instead of, you just go to vertical dimension, and that should help you positioning it better. Now, I missed out some things because I was supposed to specify the sizing of this text, which I didn't. So I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to start changing this around. So we turn off the use document font, and we go with the width factor of 150. We go with the spacing of 100. It wants us to change it to Century Gothic, which we have, regular, and 14 point. Come on. Oh, yeah, switch that on, and we click OK. Now it's complete. Huh? That was weird. Click on it. Oh, so it should be positioned correctly. Not sure why it moved that way. Let's see if I can need to fully define. No, that's fine. And we go to our extrude cut, or it wants us to add material. I'm going to subtract material because I'm different. So I cut it in 5/8. Then you do the same thing for the other text, which is the spanner. I'm not going to go over that because it's the exact same setup, and I assume you guys can handle that. It also is the same Century Gothic, regular, and 14. So this, after you're done with that, that actually concludes the tutorial.